So everything is canceled. Just everything is canceled, like always, right? We live now, as you guys know, in an era where, hell, you have the ability to cancel. You can cancel me right now if you really wanted to. Let's be honest, right? You can go and find anything on any of my social media platforms that you disagree with and cancel it. Better yet, you can go and do that exact same thing to movies of the past, movies that did not or were not created in the era that we are now, right? That were maybe created in a time where things, let's just be honest, were more acceptable. Yeah, you can take that however way you want. You can say, are you talking about misogyny, JT? Hold on. I mean, you don't have to always go down that negative road, all right? There are some jokes that many of us, all right, especially those of us around my age rather, or older, that we laugh to, that, yeah, if they were said today, maybe they would be a little, God, whatever phobic you wanna call them. But anyways, let's look at what is happening right now with poor old Cinderella. A tale as old as time, as they say, right? Now, apparently, the kiss that basically makes the whole story behind Cinderella is controversial.
Sorry, it's Snow White.
Oh, Snow White. Did I say Cinderella? Sorry. Snow White, right? You know what it is that they're going to come after Cinderella as well, man. I mean, let's be honest. You know, you have a prince putting on a shoe, right? What is it going to be? It's like opening a door for a woman nowadays, you know? That's what it's going to be. That's what it's going to be. It's like, you don't need to put on a shoe. But anyways, check this out, man. Check this video out. Now they want to cancel Cinderella. Let's look at the video so you guys can see what actually people in the street are saying.
Ever after that she deserves.
When Disney's concept designers added the kiss scene in the remodeling of one of the park's original and most beloved rides, Snow White, they probably didn't expect it being called a problem by the San Francisco Gate. Quote, haven't we already agreed that consent in early Disney movies is a major issue? That teaching kids that kissing when it hasn't been established, if both parties are willing to engage, is not okay? Now, to be fair, authors Katie Dowd and Julie Tremaine are very complimentary of the remodeled ride, even adding that the kiss is beautifully executed. As long as you're watching it, they say, as a fairy tale, not a life lesson.
It's just a fairy tale.
She's not consenting.
Thoughts?
That's a good point. I mean,
I think
I can't disagree with that.
Consent to being brought to life.
True. I wasn't offended by it right off the bat, and I usually would be.
They're back and forth exemplifying the discussion, which is about more than the kiss.
We would be like changing everything, because like I could pick something from every movie that has something that's not pro-women or, you know, racist or, you know, questionable, offensive to somebody.
Parents need to teach their kids that this is a fairy tale, and that's an opportunity to say to little boys, there's never going to be a magical spell, and so if you see a girl asleep, she's not under a spell. It's.
Do you think the ride should be changed?
Oh, absolutely not. No, I think that's for us to, you know, to be able to address to our children if they do have those questions.
We reached out to Disney and to the authors of the article, and we haven't heard back from them. There is no word, though, that anything is going to change about the ride at this point. But if you hear of a sudden number of little boys trying to kiss little sleeping girls at school, I want you to tweet me on that. Let me know, just in case.
Holy crap. Like that last part there. If you start hearing of a whole bunch of little boys, right? Blah, yada, yada, what she said. How old is that story, dude? How old, is that ride? And I'm sorry, remind me, Josh, have we had some kind of epidemic with, whether in your time growing up or my time, anywhere, any time, where there was a epidemic of little boys kissing little girls? I mean, just let me know.
I can't think of one quite yet, but I'll have to Google that one for you.
Dude, holy crap. Okay, let's go back real quick and establish, review rather. Excuse me, what the lady in pink there was saying. She said two or three things, and I'm like, what? She didn't consent to be brought to life. Okay. She didn't, I suppose. Yeah. What a horrible thing. This is just a fairy tale. We shouldn't, it's up to us to tell the little kids. I mean, any of us watching the movie and saying this is a life lesson, this is a very important life lesson. The next time, someone is asleep, to bring them back to life. I mean, come on, how ridiculous and pathetic are we getting nowadays, right? Where you have the San Francisco Gates? Never heard of them, but apparently they felt that trying to cancel Snow White is just at the top of the list, because of come on, man.
Listen, I mean, I am fully for. I mean, there was the two women who were speaking there, and they did make some very good points. It's like she said, if I nitpick through lots of other movies, there are so many other things that I could find which are maybe misogynistic, which might be anti or like against consent, or it just might be against, the rules that we have in life, right? Because it is fiction. Okay. So first of all, this is a fictional piece. Snow White is not based on history. Okay, glad we got that out of the way. Second thing. It's gone.
Need to get something out of there, huh?
Yeah, there's something there, but I've forgotten it.
The audience were probably waiting for you to say something very profound.
Very profound, very deep.
Yeah, nope. Just a little burp. They're trying to get out of there. Yes, it's not real. Of course it's fictional. I mean, who in their right minds looks at this and says, wow, that it looks like when Cinderella was alive, or excuse me, keep saying Cinderella, when Snow White was alive, Prince Charming there really took advantage. Come on, man. Like, why do you have to go after kid stuff like that? Like, I am one to point out this, point out specifically, by the way, Disney's like controversial history, right? And subliminal messaging. But Jesus, right. Man, like I feel like now we're just reaching here for straws.
Yeah, for sure. Because I feel like you said, out of all the controversial things that Disney has done over the years, this is like a fly in the ointment. It's not very much. I mean, if we think about the potential anti-Semitism that apparently Walt Disney had in his support of Adolf Hitler. Apparently.
There you go.
I mean, those are bigger things. Surely we should just cancel Disney in general, right?
Correct. Now we can talk, right? Now let's talk about something. But Cinderella, come on. But at the end, guys, I mean, you guys let us know. I mean, are we not seeing something here? Should it be canceled? And with that, if you don't mind, before we move on to the next story, remember you can listen to this episode or any episode on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, or Radio Public. It really is helping us that a lot of you guys are going over there and choosing to listen on there as well. Thank you for everybody that supports and watches regularly our videos. I think thanks to TikTok and the following we're growing on TikTok have really blown up here on YouTube. To be honest, we were always around the teens and views, and now a lot of them are just popping up, and a lot of people on TikTok have been telling me they're following over and watching. So anyways, thank you very much. And with that, let's move on.
I just remembered my point. Sorry.
Go ahead.
Put this in post. Hold on. So let's think about another situation in which a cartoon was almost, or someone tried to cancel it, or a certain group of people tried to cancel it in the past 10 years. Let's think about it. Okay. Can you think of any?
God, man, so many cartoons have been canceled. I mean, what is it? Not Roadrunner, but it wasn't Roadrunner. It was the Fast Mouse. What was his name?
Speedy Gonzales.
Speedy Gonzales, ándale. Yeah. I mean, he was canceled.
For racial profiling.
Yeah.
That's one.
Yeah, Pepe Le Pew.
This one's a little far out.
Ooh.
This one's a little far out. Check this out. So 6 years ago, a group of people went into a building in France of a famous magazine called Charlie Hebdo. And what did they do? They tried to kill, and succeeded, unfortunately, by killing a lot of people because of a controversial cartoon.
Oh, yeah. I remember that. Yeah, wasn't there also like an unfortunate like beheading there as well or something like that? Something crazy?
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, France is a powder keg at the moment. France has been under attack since 2015, a long time. They've had a lot of problems,
Right.
you know?
Yeah, right.
But I just highlight this as an issue. Do you see what I mean?
That's an issue. That's an issue, yeah. I mean, over a cartoon to kill someone, that's absolutely, I cannot disagree there. Yeah, that would be definitely absolutely an issue. I think that one was more about like a Muslim, like I remember someone in France portraying something to do with the Muslim world, their Bible or something like that. I don't know the ins and outs.
What they did was they depicted the Prophet Muhammad.
The Prophet.
Which is very, very, I think there's a South Park episode on it, which you should watch, everybody.
Right. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, I mean, that's a little extreme, right? To go as far as doing that for over a cartoon. I think, I mean, I respect people's religion, but I think that's a little far out there, right? But it's just amazing that now it's just, in my opinion, at least with this, Snow White story, we're just looking for stuff now. We're actively looking for things to cancel of the past, right? That, the past is the past. I've said it before. We can't just, get up and choose and erase things just because they hurt our feelings. Leave it in the past. But good point. All right, let's move on to the next story. And this one has all to do with critical race theory. Now, I will say right now that based on the definition that I see in front of me, which I will share with you guys, in case you guys don't know exactly what critical race theory is or are unsure, I don't believe in it. And I don't believe it should be taught to kids. I just simply don't. But for that, let's go to this video real quick of two parents that also don't believe their kids should be taught that.
One family moved from California to Utah for a better public school education, but their fight to keep critical race theory out of their kids' curriculum is far from over.
Teaching on multiculturalism and appreciating and respecting different ethnicities and cultures is one thing, but teaching that our Caucasian brothers and sisters are systemically racist because of the way they were born is also racist. And let it be said, if anyone thinks that my husband and I come from a place of privilege as a minority, you couldn't be further from the truth.
That was Gloria Vindas and her husband Oscar sending a message to the school board, and they joined me live this morning. Thanks to the both of you for being here. Gloria, I watched your entire address to that board, extremely powerful, but did you ever expect in your wildest dreams that critical race theory would follow you from ultra-liberal California to Utah?
No, we were actually really surprised. We were really excited to send our 16-year-old son to school, especially since last year there was no school. I've been homeschooling my son since the 7th grade due to Common Core and critical race theory in California. And I pulled him out, and I was excited to put him in here. And after talking to many of the locals here and doing some research of my own and actually calling some of the superintendents and different things at administration at the schools, I found that they don't call it the collegiate level curriculum of critical race theory here, but it is still being taught in the Utah education system. And if anything, I would say it's actually more than the California education system here in Utah.
More. Unbelievable. Oscar, one thing that really stood out to me from your wife's comments was this notion of racism exists, but most people aren't racist. To that point, how dangerous is it to label everything as racist when you really do want to label what is racist to be racist so that you can root out that racism in our society?
I mean, racism, to be taught racism in schools is pretty harsh. I mean, these kids are going to school to learn, and they should be learning, basic, math, reading, learning skills, right? Not being taught, just because the color of your skin, you're a racist. Right. So I think, it's very important to separate those things when you're teaching children.
Yeah, where are the skills that you need to learn to grow in your life as a worker bee? You're going to try to get a job someday. Critical race theory is not going to help you do that. Math, English, science is. Gloria, exactly. What is your main concern for your kids when it comes to learning critical race theory?
I would have to say, like what I said in my address to the school board, is if you go back to where critical theory comes from, the Frankfurt Manifesto, which is really stems from Karl Marx. So really Marxism, and I've taught my son against that. And so I would have to say that's my biggest fear, is where it leads. And I think when critical race theory is first presented, if it's presented in the correct, it can be presented in a lot of ways that sound really good in the beginning, but the more you go and follow it, the more divisive it becomes.
Here's the response from the Salt Lake Education Foundation director, quote, "It's not about learning about someone's specific culture. It's more about the understanding of its history. Teachers are allowed to teach history, but also I think they should be able to tell the full story of everyone's contribution to this country." I don't really feel like that statement is answering your concerns. What action do you expect ultimately at the end of the day the school board will take with regard to your concerns?
Well, that's the problem. They don't listen here. What's shocking is Utah is mirroring the education system of California, and I would say it's probably the most progressive in the Western states when it comes to critical race theory. And the school boards are not listening to any parents, any of their constituents. They just refuse to listen, and that's what we found in California, which is one of the main reasons we decided to move here. So I'm concerned because it's creating an environment here in Utah that's very is creating more divide, and I blame the officials at the top here in Utah.
The fact that it's even in Utah is eye-opening to me. Gloria and Oscar, please keep us posted on your plight here. I find it fascinating. I'm disappointed for you that you're in this situation, but obviously we all want to learn from it, and we want to know what happens. So Gloria and Oscar, please come back. Thank you so much.
All right.
Thank you.
So let me close that up real quick. Go to this. Oh, you know what? Actually, let's go to that real quick, just so we can get the definition, and we'll get into our comments. So here is the definition, right, of critical race theory according to Britannica.com. Of course, any of you guys can have a different definition out there, okay? And you guys can have a different understanding, but at least for those of you guys that have a zero, at least here is some sort of reference, right? So according to this,
intellectual movement and loosely organized framework of legal analysis based on the premise that race is not a natural, biologically grounded feature of physically distinct subgroups of human beings, but a socially constructed, culturally invented category that is used to oppress and exploit people of color. Critical race theorists hold that the law and legal institutions in the United States are inherently racist insofar as they function to create and maintain social, economic, and political inequalities between whites and non-whites, especially African Americans.
Yeah, that was a lot to take in. Go ahead. You go first.
Oof. Well, we got a lot to dissect from here, from not only from the video but the definition as well. So, first of all, I think it's funny that the mother said that she taught against Karl Marx's teachings. I don't think you're teaching someone if you're not giving them the option to have an opinion. Okay. So what they see as education is somewhat, I would say, dated. This is just my personal view on the thing. I think that our I'm not a father, but if I were to be so lucky someday, I'd like to think I'd be able to teach my kids the love of learning instead of just teaching them facts or something like that. Just being able to teach them the love of learning, because that's far more important. You know, answering their questions, because kids are inquisitive. You know that, JT. You've got kids. I mean, how many times they ask questions? You're like,
sure.
How do I answer that? You
Right.
have to think for a second, you know?
Right.
So that's one thing. I guess moving on from it, I guess critical race theory on paper works. However, when we look at the dictionary definition, I wasn't aware that that was critical race theory, because it's funny because they highlighted exactly the problem with that last sentence. The difference between whites and non-whites. That's bullshit. Saying that there are the whites and then there's, yeah, sure.
There we go.
Where is it? That last line. Look, the political inequalities between whites and non-whites.
Yep.
So it's like white people and then there's just a bunch of brown people, right?
According to this.
Bullshit.
Yeah.
According to that, yeah. If that's what they're teaching, that is absolute bullshit.
Right. And you know what? I mean, there is a lot of what you're saying here that I'm not going to disagree with, but going back real quickly to what the parents really were saying is a little bit of what I've been saying here on the show, which is this never-ending war, it feels like, that in some groups, right, it's sprouting and it's getting more intense in automatically saying that supporting or just not being against whites makes you somehow, first of all, racist, somehow against your own people, right? And that you are expected to have this hatred for, again, a specific group. And that group right now happens to be white people. Now, when you take that and conjoin it, like you just said right now, with something that sounds possibly okay on paper, such as critical race theory or CRT, I guess, if you abbreviate it, and then you actually implement it in the classroom, I don't think that there's going to be very many people, right? Educators, hell, the irony is that we just talked about it, crazy woke educators, right? Yeah. And if you give them this, okay, to pass along, you don't know how they're going to formulate that lesson for that day or for that semester, for that matter, right? And I don't think it's up to them. I don't think it's up to anyone to teach your children about racism, right? I don't agree with that, right? It's even one of those things where I'm not even a big believer in opening up, as an example, sexual education for children as it is now, not in comparison to when a lot of us went to school. People need to understand that there's a big difference now, okay? There's a big difference. Back then, it was a lot of like the birds and the bees talk, right? Even in school. Yeah. I remember taking that class. I believe it was like 6th or 7th grade. It went basically into the reason we have, reproductive organs. Hey, here's how they're used, traditionally speaking. And it was very like, skeleton looking like figures. And you kind of like the rest of the questions take home, right? We got what we needed to understand. Now, believe it or not, because I do have some people that I know that have their kids right now in school. I am one of them. I have a teenager. And now they want to teach. They want to go as far, believe it or not, as positions. Yeah. Oh, yeah. They're taking it a lot further, man, than just plain old sexual education, right? Same thing here with critical race theory. It is one thing to teach kids the history, right, of the U.S., or for that matter, of any country, and say, here's what went wrong, here's what we learned as a society, and then go deeper by using critical race theory and saying, oh, well, here's how everything is basically worked against you because of the whites. I despise that notion, man, that first of all, every single white is automatically privileged, no matter if they were born, hell, like Eminem. Look at Eminem. It's funny how Americans are so hypocrites. They are, right? Not everybody, of course, but many Americans. They take someone like Eminem. Oh, 8 Mile. He's almost like he's basically black, but he's white. I believe even color-eyed. But everybody loves that guy, right? But nobody acknowledges that he's white for some reason because, it's not convenient, the hypocrisy, right? And they're saying, no, with the exception of Eminem. Right. And that's my point. Mm-hmm. That just because you are white doesn't mean you are automatically privileged. And in my opinion, a lot of this CRT, that's where it heads depending on whose educator's hands you put this information on. Right? Any of the teachers we talked about yesterday, man, how do you think they would describe this? How do you think they would teach this?
Well, I mean, if it is as it is described in this, what's the word? In this description?
Definition? Right.
Definition, exactly. So in the definition of critical race theory, the way that the Britannic dictionary has put it is complete totalitarianism. That there's two races in the United States, apparently. Whites and non-whites.
Yeah, apparently, yeah.
First of all, that is, I mean, I've already harped on about this point, but that's ridiculous. Yeah. That is absolutely ridiculous. How could someone who is apparently woke, who's apparently so forward thinking and social and, a social justice warrior.
Yeah.
and they still say there's white and there's non-white.
Yeah, exactly. Right. That's how they see it. Dude, I have this fight all the time with people online when I'm like, you're going to tell me that my cousin, born in Mexico, not first generation, plenty generations behind her, but came out pretty fair of skin because of, Spanish blood or whatever you want to call it. Even has really light brown eyes, like hazel eyes. Excuse me. Is white. Like, so she's considered white. In the U.S., she's a white girl because she's, she's almost as light a skin as you with color eyes, like I said, and knows English. So she's just a white girl. So she's part of the other group. It's pathetic, man. And I'll tell you what, this lady here really drives my point home that I've tried to make here on the show plenty of times and even online, right? So I came across this video. It looked like actually she was trending. I've been following and seeing all her videos on TikTok for the longest time, but this one for some reason was really caught the attention of many people online. This is why. Check this out.
So you're trying to invalidate the opinions of those in the comment section based on the color of their skin and then trying to make me feel guilty for speaking in the first place. Because that's all that means. So dumb. What you're implying is that I, as a black person, am supposed to think and speak a certain way and only a certain way. And yeah, that just doesn't fly for me. I do what I want. I say what I want when I want. I don't do blind loyalty. I honor God and my mama, and I pledge allegiance to the flag. If you didn't birth me, die for me, and if your name's not Uncle Sam, I don't owe you a damn thing. If you're uncomfortable or feel a certain way, then say that so we can talk about it. You don't have to resort to racism as a defense mechanism. Progress starts with conversations. Stuff like this is what causes division. Anytime a black person goes against the grain, somebody comes up with this cliche of a comment. Try to engage in the conversation instead of projecting your prejudice. If you have nothing intellectual to add to the conversation, then just scroll.
God, that was beautiful.
She won the internet.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
she won.
For those of you guys who didn't see the comment there, essentially, she went out. She said something on behalf of white people, I suppose, right? Because the comment was, "Oh, only whites would like you." It's like, that's such a racist thing to say, man. Such a racist thing to say. And people that don't understand that when they say things like that, you're being racist, it's because you refuse to leave your bubble, right? Your little silo that you live in. That gives you that privilege, as I spoke before. Because not only black people have that privilege, browns do too. For you to be able to go out there and just say something as racist as the whites, the crackers, or any of that, disgusting language, that gives you a certain privilege, okay? And if you don't realize that, again, it's because you're living in your own little bubble. But I mean, she put it so eloquently. I loved it.
Yeah, me too. And it's kind of funny because there's a kind of overlap with all these stories that we're having now, right? It's the madness of masses, I guess you could say. It's like I've been listening to a lot of to a guy, or I guess you could call him, well, a writer. Let's call him a writer. His name is Douglas Murray. Very interesting case. And yeah, I think the thing is, I feel like, forgive me for being crude now, but it feels very much like a group of people, they come up with a curriculum like the CRT to be very self-serving and honestly washed out bollocks. It's a giant jerk-off circle where everyone is too scared to try and say something. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Where people are just like, this is great. This is great, right? Yeah, this is great.
Yeah.
So, okay, we're all agreed. Everything's great, right? Yeah. And then if someone actually says like, you know, guys, what you're doing is technically gay. They're like, I'm not gay.
You transphobic, homophobic, like everything, right? Like it's every phobic under the stars. No, it's actually a really good analogy. And then you know what? At the end of the day, there has to be more of us, like you just said, right? That says, no, I think that this is pretty wrong. That we know what we're doing here, and we're just essentially making each other feel okay. We're in our own echo chamber, right? And telling each other, no, this is not racist, dude. Just continue being the way you're being. It's just hit all whites. Do that. It's just a stupid thing. But anyways, let's move on to the next article. And this one, Oh, geez. Yeah. So we're going to go back into the world of vaccines, right? And even though I think if you've been following us, you know this by now, but I'll say it here just in case it's first time viewer. It's okay. We have said very publicly, we are not anti-vaxxers. We do believe in vaccinations. We have taken vaccinations. We have no people that taken vaccinations. And we agree that if you're in a position where you should be taking vaccinations because you are consistently surrounded, right, by people, you're maybe a healthcare worker. Hell, you maybe even work in a restaurant. You have that foot traffic. Hey, go on. It's probably the best alternative. Of course, we've also covered stories where we have had issues like with the Johnson & Johnson vaccine. We've had other vaccines that have created, less than desirable situations for people, like blood clots among just a few, right? And even that guy, his skin peeling off. Okay, so we have a video, but before we get to that video of something that we've also covered on here, and that is people with a lot of privilege, specifically influencers and celebrities, talking out of their ass. Let's go to this article real quick. Out of the Bloomberg, world's most vaccinated nation activates curbs as case rise. All right, cases rise. So in the article here, it says that I just Seychelles. Yes, I was just asking you how you say that. Seychelles, which has fully vaccinated more of its population against COVID-19 than any other country, has closed schools and canceled sporting activities for 2 weeks as infections surge. Now, to be clear, I don't believe that this will happen everywhere in the world. I don't believe that that is happening now. What I do believe is that we shouldn't be and act or shouldn't just talk out of our asses because of our emotions or because we just haven't been exposed enough around the world, or we don't expose ourselves period to enough information that's happening around the world, and just take the more naive approach and saying, well, that happened in Seychelles, but it won't happen here in the US, right? Whatever state you live in. No, we should take this as a situation, as a case study, if you may, and potentially brace for something that can happen here. Even though you might have already had both of your shots or 3 shots, like Pfizer saying to have that booster after a year, whatever the case might be, this can happen. So, again, you guys can go check out the article there on Bloomberg, but that first paragraph really was, I would say, in my opinion, the most important. It's just to realize that even in a location where they have had most of the people vaccinated, they are seeing cases surge. Now, let's go real quick to this video. Oh, man. Talk about elitist entitlement. Check this out. Whoopi Goldberg says, I'm not going outside until I know everybody outside has had the shot. Well, good luck if you were to live in what is it, Seychelles or whatever, and you would have gone with that idea. Check the video out.
But I do think that part of the problem is that if we don't all do it, if we don't all wear the mask, it means it's spotty. It's like Wi-Fi, it's just not smooth. And the truth of the matter is, there's a lot of reasons to be concerned or about your personal space. But at some point, it becomes about what is good for the country. And we're seeing that what's happening in India, we've lived through that already. We know, and we're seeing sort of the responses our country is having to our ability to get vaccinated. People desperate to get vaccinated in different places around the world would crawl here to get this vaccine. Now, it's not rocket science, This is what we have. We remember when measles wasn't an issue, and then it became an issue because people stopped vaccinating their kids, and then we had nothing but measles outbreaks. There is something to be said for paying attention to that. We need to do this, and it's not gonna allow us to be without masks until we all do it. Because quite frankly, I'm not going outside until I know everybody outside has had the shot. So I'm gonna be wearing my mask probably, into my 90s. That's just me.
Well, Yeah, maybe she should have been wearing that mask before the pandemic started. If that's the way she thinks, you know.
She's not wearing a mask now, actually, if I'm going to be a smart ass about it.
No, that's true. That's a good observation there. Can you believe, man, the effing audacity to come out and say that what's happening in India has happened here in the U.S. in one of the most privileged countries?
Mm-hmm.
Did we not just cover the pyres that were happening where people had to burn their loved ones, dude, in random parking lots in the street? I mean, dude, I'll let you go first on this one because this is going to piss me off more.
Okay, so Miss Goldberg, I'm going to be absolutely honest with you. Yes, I completely agree with the fact that you're saying people should wear masks. I don't think there have been very many reported deaths from people wearing a face mask. Yeah, sure, there might be some for some other reason. I don't know, they choked on it or something. I don't know. But sure, face masks, absolutely. I'm with you. You could take it off. You could put it on. Fantastic. Wash your hands. Even better. Ooh. Let's think about something here. I don't remember the moment in which Baltimore was burning people in the streets. Well,
that was BLM. That was just a riot. That was not the same thing.
I mean, yeah, there have been some riots. Yeah, there have been lots of fires for that. There have been people fighting for what they think are their rights. There has been a lot of that. Yes. Have there been people dying in the streets because of this, because of the pandemic? Well, maybe a couple. It's possible. It is possible people have died in the street. It's possible, but
like India
to be burned in a car park? Come on.
Yeah.
Man.
Yeah. How is this not fear mongering, man? Let's be honest here.
It is. 100%.
Right?
100% is.
How is this?
I mean,
sorry, go ahead.
Here's the thing. It's like the United States is very, very privileged in the fact that you do have a choice to take a vaccine, that you do have a choice to do what with your body. So remember that before anything. We don't know about the government of Seychelles. Maybe they were all forced to take the vaccine. Maybe it's obligatory.
Right.
But in your country, the United States of America, in which it is always pushing freedom, 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 freedom of this, freedom of speech, freedom to have a gun, freedom to do whatever you like. And now you're pushing people to try and take a vaccine, which is, I believe, it could help the problem. Yes. Should you force people to take it? If it doesn't conflict with their religious beliefs, or if they don't have any illnesses to do with it, absolutely. But maybe they should be recommended to do so.
Right. So, personally speaking, right, I've said it before, I'll take the vaccine, when the time comes. But I'm not one to either put people down that have taken it or put people down that haven't taken it, right? And are choosing to wait a lot of it out because of all the never-ending stories that we're seeing, right? It needs the happy place is somewhere in the middle. But you have here, just like you have people on the right, you have people on the left. Whoopi Goldberg, right, is a leftist, and with her statements recently, far leftist at that, saying I'm not going to go out until everybody has a vaccine. We are, we have been where India is. We haven't been where India is. What the hell are you talking about? How dare you say something like that, right? From your multi-million-dollar home, from the U.S., from a set that probably has things that are more expensive on that set than anybody in India has ever even had the privilege of even seeing in front of them, right? But yet you're gonna come here and just, man, it just pisses me off, man, to have to see that,
Sure.
that mentality.
Ignorance.
Yes, so
it's complete ignorance.
It is, and quite frankly, I think that again, it just goes to show how many people are willing to say idiotic things on live television, right? For millions of people to see, because they have that position of power and they can. And the saddest part is that they're going to have a lot of people that follow them blindly, share that same sentiment, right? And start saying things like we're worse than India. right? Because it goes from we were where India is to we are now worse than India somehow, right? And then belittles what is really happening, the issues that are happening in other countries.
That's it. I mean, you can't really put it any better than that. I don't think. I think we're on a complete agreement on this one. Just
yeah,
the fact that you can't look outside of that kind of ivory tower just for 1 second and just think it's like, oh, I still have problems. You know, I've still got to make my own coffee in the mornings.
Yeah,
I've still got to wash my own clothes, man. Yeah. I mean, the pandemic's not been easy to all of us. I had to fire my cleaner. You know what I mean?
Dude, it's like, I'm not sure if you ever saw that. You're actually reminding me of a comment that Ellen DeGeneres got essentially slammed for. Oh my God, dude. That she was like, oh, it's so basically difficult to live from this, compound. Obviously, she didn't say that, right? But for basically, because she doesn't have a tiny little house.
Jail, I think she said.
There you go. I mean, and I've been saying it, and a lot of people follow these, these idiot influencers, celebrities, right? You have millions of followers. And that's people will act exactly what they're called, as a follower, and follow them right into these stupid moronic statements. And then we'll regurgitate them and say things like we are worse than India. We shouldn't go outside until everybody's vaccinated. Every single person, get your vaccinations now, despite of everything else that we're hearing. The only way to do this and to fix this is by having everybody vaccinated, even though we have report after report after report saying the contrary. Is it a solution? It's possibly part of the grander solution, but it is not the ultimate solution. Period. Right? But yeah. Sorry, I don't want to get all animated and pissed off.
That's all right. I mean, let's leave it like that. I mean, we don't have anything personal against Ellen or Whoopi Goldberg. In fact, before we started filming, JT was telling me about how he loves Sister Act.
I do. I actually do. Yeah, it's one of the movies I really enjoy. It's just a shame that the actress has really kind of changed from acting and doing what she did really well, I think, at least, to getting into this like full political ivory tower, like you said, point of view and whatever. Anyways, guys, we'll leave it there. I think, it's enough for today. We hope, as always, you guys keep enjoying the shows, keep following, watching. If you don't mind liking and leaving a comment down below, let us know what you guys think. Ultimately, that we really want, what we're looking for here is the interaction with you guys. So let us know what you guys think down below. Again, ring the notification bell, and until next time, see ya.